So by far, the most important effect of groundwater in a rock mass is the reduction of the stability, which we want to avoid. And various methods exist for including this water pressure in our stability calculation. So when you are dealing with your finite element methods calculation for your slopes and that of your discrete approach in terms of determining the strength properties of your slopes and whatnot, there's always that opportunity in the software for you to quantify these properties of water in there, so that in the event where there is water, you have already accommodated for that. So there is no need, under no circumstance should one assume that there is no water in a material, and so you do your designs and ignore the presence of water. Because as you dig deeper, you will definitely encounter them. So you don't design neglecting the presence of water, although you've not encountered one now. So drainage. So let's then have a look at the basic parameter defining the flow of groundwater as established today is the hydraulic conductivity. So the parameter relates to the flow rate of water through the material to the pressure gradient applied across it, which is the hydraulic gradient. So these are parameters we are taking home. What if I have a situation where I have, let's take for example, water levels in boreholes at either ends of a sample, okay? One is at a height H1 and another is at a height H2 above a particular reference point. And the quantity of water kind of flowing through it is determined as Q. So we can use this same Darcy's law to determine this particular flow rate or the hydraulic conductivity of the two boreholes. And that can be given or be deduced using this. So this is a more practical approach in the field when you want to determine your hydraulic conductivity of a material in the field. So let's see. And that formula can also be further refined if I want to determine the Q, just like we saw here. You want to make Q the subject, that can also be done, and then you have this simplified approach. All right, so our last thing for the day is to have a look at stability of soil rocks. We will go halfway through this material. So you realize that all throughout our activity in the mine, I don't think there is one section in a mine you don't see anything like the layman will see is a hill. And these hills we see around is in our pits is what we term as our slopes. Be it the ramp, our declines, whatever activity, any access route, because we are going deeper and deeper every day as we mine along. And so all our ramps, we are moving from the surface down. And so we are dealing with some kind of slopes. Some are very obvious, you can see. Others, you don't even realize you are on a slope. And so with this instance, our material or our discussion cannot be enough if we don't make mention of slopes. So we want to see rock slopes and how they affect our activity. So we want to take a look at rock slope or stability of soil and rock slopes. So soil slope stability and the relevance of rock mechanics to it has been intensified during some few years back or 2 decades ago. This was not an issue, but today it is a very important aspect of mines And when you search online, you see tons of papers and articles, because when there is a failure in terms of slope, the havoc is always detrimental. And so there is that need for researchers to throw more light on how we can establish some stability and sanity in the area. So slope stability analysis has become one of the major factors usually taken into consideration in the design of any new mine at all. So even in prospecting, during the prospecting and exploration of our ore deposits, now we have to carry it out in a way that we can make room for slopes. Unlike some time past where we are just interested in our ore deposits, we create our geological model minus these things. Today, you have to create the model and include some amount of material such that if we are to mine, where will our slope be? All of these are included during the prospecting and exploration stages today. Then we have certain slope failure can lead to certain external and then other internal losses. To just understand this in simple terms, we are just saying that any losses in terms of slope failure that will occur in your mine, and it does not affect, if it occurs within your concession, just take the keyword as your concession, within the jurisdiction of the mine, and it does not extend to nearby communities, roads, and other access points that is not within your concession, then we term those losses as what? External losses. But anything within your concession, any loss that occurs, then we term that as internal losses. So it could be your office facilities that the slope failure affected. It's an internal loss because it's within your company. But the moment the loss affects somebody with his garden or his huge farm in the community, it becomes an external loss to you. I don't know if this is okay. An otherwise profitable mine can become unprofitable due to slope failure. I hope this one we don't need to explain further. So if you have a serious slope failure in an open pit mine, you may be jobless for a long time before we can think of another new design to come back for this whole thing. And that will even occur if you don't have any casualties occurring where it will lead to the death of people, where sometimes your licenses may be revoked and your permits taken from you such that you can't even mine again, whatever company you are. And so any mine that is profitable at some point in time, if you have any slope failures, you can become unprofitable, because by the time you resolved all these issues regarding your slope failure, you spent a lot such that it becomes difficult for you to go back into operation that quickly. So in recent years, there has been greater understanding of the factors that affect stability of rock slope, and they can be categorized into 4 broad areas. So the factors are: 1, identification of critical geological features. So for you to understand the stability issues of your slope, 1, you can't ignore geology, the geological factors, and then be able to determine your shear strength parameters of your critical discontinuities. So where you have discontinuities, you have to ensure that you've conducted some tests there to determine the shear strength properties of that particular critical discontinuity area. Then the strength indices of critical discontinuity. So usually, before any failure can occur, it's usually around areas of your rock where you have discontinuities, because the whole thing is about sliding. And so if you have any particular failure or a fault somewhere buried within your material and you don't see, and you happen to put your ramp there, or you create your slope and then it surfaces sliding will occur and you have a failure. So you realize that all these critical things you are mentioning about or talking about are all about discontinuities. And then evaluation of the pore pressure acting on critical discontinuities. So the pore pressure here is referring to the water, the presence of water somewhere within the rock. If it finds itself within a discontinuity, it's going to give that detrimental effect. And so you need to understand these four things, or these four active things. Then the presence or the absence of discontinuities has a very important influence upon the stability of rock slopes. So if you have discontinuities, it will inform your decision in terms of your designs of slopes. And in the same way, if you don't have them, it will also affect what decisions you are going to take. So the need to locate and elevate or evaluate these geological features is really necessary. And then the majority of these rock slopes that are warranting stability investigations are always unstable due to these geological features we just made mention of. Maybe there's a fault somewhere you don't know about. You did your geological modeling, your drilling never captured that aspect. Then you end up as a geotech officer, you propose that that section of the rock is hard. We can put our ramps there, or we can put any access route there at all. Then at the end of the day, these things show up all of a sudden, you don't know about them. It is going to cause a disaster. So since rock discontinuities control the behavior of the rock mass failure, a complete knowledge of where it is, the location, how it is oriented. Is it continuous? Maybe it shows up in the phyllite zone. As you move along to the granite zone, it shows up again. So the continuity of it, you need to know. And then the frequenting surface properties are essential in characterizing this particular property of the rock.